Now may we invite the Deans of the Honors College, Professor Mark and Ming, to introduce our respectable guest. Welcome, Professor Mark.
Chancellor Yang and Director Zhao, students and colleagues, good morning. We are really truly honored to have Professor Henry Yang in his very busy schedule to make time to visit us at the University of Macau, and more important, to give us a talk on such an early Sunday morning. We thank you very much, Professor Yang. And before we start, please allow me to give a brief introduction of Professor Yang's background to everyone. Professor Henry Yang is the 5th Chancellor of University of California, Santa Barbara since 1994. He was formerly the Neil Armstrong Distinguished Professor of Aeronautics and Astronautics at Purdue University, where he also served as the Dean of Engineering for 10 years. Professor Yang is a member of the U.S. National Academy of Engineering and a fellow of the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, the American Society of Engineering Education, and the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. He has received a number of recognition for his research, teaching, and public service, including the Benjamin Garver Lamy Award from the American Society of Engineering Education, the Structural Dynamics and Materials Award from the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, and 8 honorary doctorates, including one from our university just yesterday. In 2016, Professor Yang received the U.S. National Academy of Engineering's Arthur M. Beeker Award. He currently chairs the International 30-meter telescope project and serves on the Cultivation Foundation Board. He is a past chair of the Association of American Universities and Association of Pacific Rim University, and served 2 terms as a presidential appointee to the U.S. President's Committee on the National Medal of Science. Previously, he has served on scientific advisory boards for different U.S. government departments and agencies, including the Department of Defense, Air Force, Navy, NASA, and the National Science Foundations. Although Professor Yang has astonishing accomplishment in science and engineering, in fact, his discerning eyes are more attractive to us. During his 23 years of leadership as the Chancellor of UCSB, 6 faculty members has won Nobel Prizes. This is just an amazing record. And Professor Yang is truly, I could say, the modern Berlin of Nobel laureate. So we are so happy that Professor Yang agreed to give us a talk today to reveal his secret to us, how he brings amazing people to his team. So without further ado, let's give a warm round of applause to welcome Professor Henry Yang to our college, and also to give us his talk today.
Can you hear me from the back there?
Yes.
Yeah, you can. It's just such an honor to be here, and I'm very excited to give this talk. And I don't know how to talk about all these topics we were talking about. So I'm just going to tell you a few small stories, and we can piece them together to get the picture I've been trying to portray to you. Now, let's take first is how do we build a world-class research university for talent cultivation? This is what I think every university is trying to do. Of course, I was so impressed by looking at the University of Macau. You have been so successful. Start from scratch and build a world-class university with such kind of success. So I want to acknowledge all of you, my colleagues here, especially President Zhang, for your such a visionary work to make University of Macau where it is today. So I'm not here telling you something you don't know, but it's a peer institution to share with you about what we have done, and I'm going to share this with you, like telling you the stories. First, of course, it is very important for us to have international change with students, scholars, and faculty And as you know, talent has no borders, no country borders. And recruitment and retention of talent have to go across the border, just not locally. Research and education must collaborate among peer institutions. So quality students attract quality faculty. Quality faculty attract quality students. If the institution has better quality students, we have much better chance to recruit and retain a faculty member, and vice versa. Students like to go where professors are better. So we have to attract and cultivate talent, retain talent by developing an intellectual environment. There's nothing more important than intellectual environment. I just look at your colleges, and I look that kind of intellectual environment. Just everybody is dreaming for in higher education, and then of course we have every university must be known for a few things, like what this university is known for. Then develop a strength in research clusters. It must be unique, must have a highly interdisciplinary and highly collaborative, and so that make it the top few in the world. So yesterday I was visiting Honors College. I thought just last night I added 3 PowerPoints to tell you one story about we have an honor college, which is very small. We don't call it Honors College. We call it College of Creative Studies. You can see this little place just on the beach, and has about 400 students, all undergraduate students. They have 8 majors to choose for 4 in science area: computer science, biology, physics, and chemistry, which including engineering and all that. Then another 4 in the area of literature, arts, music, and humanities area. So the student, most of you probably are so talented, you don't even know which major to take. You might want science, but you also want arts, or what are you going to do? You can do both. So that's the kind of place they are. And the student all just spend all their time, day and night together. And I tell you a story of one student, just one student. Here is a student. 1983, we have a graduate of our College of Creative Studies. You can see Carol Grider. You can see that student. She had, if you check on the website, she had some problem, like dyslexia, when she was in high school. So finally, she found we have such a creative studies like Honors College. She could spend time with us. So she came to the university. She was very happy, and when she graduated, she was biology major, and we still have some of her notebook during a laboratory. So that was her story. But then one morning, years later, one morning, at 5 o'clock, she got up and she was doing the laundry, and the cell phone rang at 5 o'clock. So she picked up a cell phone. So who is calling? This is from Stockholm. And Nobel Committee, you just, congratulations, you got Nobel Prize in medicine. So that was 2006, I think. So she just dropped the phone, unbelievable. So she didn't win. She has 2 children. Wake up, wake up. So the children wake up. She said, your mom just got a Nobel Prize. So you can go back to sleep now. Here it is. In 2009, I read it wrong. Carol Grider was awarded Nobel Prize in physiology in medicine for the discovery of how chromosomes are protected by telomeres and the enzyme telomeres. And so she got her Nobel Prize. So this is just a story. So we have Nobel Prize winners here. You just indulge the way you like in this honors college, then you go to graduate school, then you develop your life. So I thought this actually was not in my speech yesterday. I ended this up. Then now I go back to another story to share with you. Last month, every year after Stockholm announced the Nobel Prize in early October, then Times Higher Education of London would do a ranking of the world-class universities who have produced the most number of Nobel laureates in this century. So then this year they did it again. Here is the top 10. Mostly private institutions, mostly in the United States. So these are the 10 universities. And Santa Barbara was ranked within top 10 4 years in a row. So the reason is because we have 6 faculty members there. I was lucky enough to be associated with them during my time, and I could see one after another they received Nobel Prizes. Let me just share with you about some Santa Barbara story. Here is one professor, Professor Herb Kromer, in 1963. 1963 is a long time ago. And so at that time he published a paper. The paper called Heterostructures Injection Laser. That paper was rejected by applied physics letters and was ignored. Then he managed to, sometimes when your paper get rejected, submit to another journal. So I went to Institute of Electronics, Electrical Engineering Proceedings. Then that paper was published, but it was not referenced, no citation. Then after that, his own agency refused to fund sources to work on this new kind of laser, so he could not get funding. So it says on the grounds that there just could not be possible any application for this. So this is just a bad paper, a dream the paper. So then the professor at that time, he was a professor at Santa Barbara, UC Santa Barbara, and he and another professor, Jim Merce. I really admire Jim Merce as well. He's the kind of person is able to build a team together and has a very tempered, a very nice personality, very thoughtful. So, and they too are great partners. So they kind of map out the new direction for the College of Engineering in 1980. At that time, our College of Engineering has only 62 faculty members with 1,400 students, with 1-to-3 ratio for graduate versus undergraduate students. Because then they decided, how could we compete with those big private and public institutions in the Silicon Valley? There's no way. We just have to find our own way to avoid the competition with major mainstream. So they decided to, instead of doing silicon semiconductor in Silicon Valley, they go to this gallium nitride, a semiconductor materials that was notoriously difficult to use. So that was the direction they decided to go. And that was a very important direction, and it has the total support of the entire university. Then Kromer's original vision was, and has been, upheld by UC Santa Barbara with unwavering support, as I said. Supporting such vision and creating an intellectual environment are two of the most important ingredients for retention and recruitment of faculty members. So, but then that paper rejected, ignored, refused, as final recognized in Stockholm in the year 2000. So he received the Nobel Prize in Physics for developing semiconductor heterostructures used in high-speed and optoelectronics. This is precisely the paper was rejected in 1963, got him the Nobel Prize in the year 2000. So this is a very interesting story. Actually, if you check on the website, this story is there. That was his Nobel acceptance speech. I was there, I really enjoyed it. But during that time, we said, well, you have this theory. Who carries out this theory? Make it to work. So then, during that year, we went to Japan, made a quick effort. We recruited another person. But here I just say, Nobel Prize in Physics, semiconductor materials with properties between those in electrical conductors and insulators are the basis for most electronic components. Some components use heterostructures in which semiconductor materials lies in thin sheets. In 1957, Herb Kromer developed a proposal for transistor built on heterostructures, and in 1963, at the same time, but independently of Zoris Alfred, Herb Kromer also built heterostructures that acted as a laser. These components have since become important to telecommunication, for example. This is also on the Nobel website. I just fallen out, you see. So then that same year, when he got his Nobel Prize, we realized we think of the future. So we recruit a younger faculty member by the name of Shuji Nakamura from Japan. And at the time, he wants to, because he's not doing well with his company, he actually sued his company, and so he had to leave. So we were very lucky enough to recruit him to Santa Barbara. And that was about patent rights issues. So we thought it's just great. His joining our group is like mounting a jewel in the semiconductor crown in Santa Barbara. But this is a gallium nitride semiconductor. So we want to tell you another story about Professor Nakamura. On November 29, 1993, this is a quote from Herb Kromer. He said, came an announcement that astonished the world. A chink in nature's armor had been found. Finally, and Nakamura found it. A bright blue light emitting diode had been invented. So that was in a conference in 1993. The following year, in 1994, Professor Kromer described seeing a bright blue LED for the first time, and he said, suddenly the world had changed. In 1996, Professor Kromer heard Professor Nakamura deliver a lecture in Berlin. Professor Kromer said to colleagues, what we are seeing here today is the beginning of the end of the light bulb. It's a new era. So from their point, he had an eye on this young engineer Nakamura. So it took us a few years to finally recruit him to Santa Barbara. And the first thing is that in year 2006, Professor Nakamura received a Millennium Technology Prize, which is €1 million by the President of Finland. And she gave him this award and for the invention of revolutionary new light source, blue, green, and white light emitting diode, and a blue laser diode. So I escorted my colleague, Professor Nakamura, to Helsinki. So after we received the prize, he told me, he said, I really want to appreciate you. You are such a good colleague. You recruit me, and saying all the thank you things. You know, whenever people tell you they thank you, you got to be careful. That means he's right there thinking of saying goodbye. So I said, can you tell me what happened? He said, you know, another institution has wanted to recruit my whole team. I said, what did they give you? They said, the whole team has a huge salary increase. And also, we need a space. They built a new building named after me, waiting for me. So, but we do have university do have a policy. We have 3 conditions for matching any outside offers. The first, the outside offer must be real, of course. I cannot just tell you about an offer. I have to be real. And the second, the colleagues must express strong desire for retention. Sometimes you're so good, your colleague cannot put up with you, and they may say, well, let you go. So the colleague has to ask you to stay. You have to be good colleagues. And then recruitment must be from an institution that's highly respected, peer institution. But in this matching, we could match salaries, we could match needs, but I have not heard of matching with a building. That's a little bit much. So we match with a building. But I did not have the money, so what you do, you just borrow money from the bank and build it, return in a number of years, 20 years, 15 years. So that's what we did. But then, now that this professor and his group already have enough indirect costs, we call it overhead, more enough than pay back of this building. So it's a free. It did not cost me anything. So that's why I call it the theory that talents generate space. If you have good talents, they can generate space for you for free. So it is one of the experiences I had with it. So I remember when Professor Kromer got his Nobel Prize, I said, what were your top 3 priorities? He said, space, space, space. It's all about space. That is so important. But I can see University of Cal has built such wonderful space, modern space, state-of-the-art space, visionary space, visionary for the needs for the development of the future. So I really want to express congratulations to all colleagues here, especially the leadership professors. Then now let me talk a little bit about talk about the solid state lighting, energy, and electronics center at UC Santa Barbara. This is one led by 5 or 6 professors. It's a team with a large number of postdocs and graduate students and even some undergraduate students. So at that time, you remember 1993-94, the citation for gallium nitride LED was practically zero. So that's why at that time the idea was new, but it was not practical. But now look at the citations reach thousands, 3,000 to 4,000, and then we can see those LED work. We helped them with to make this LED work for the 2008 Olympic of the National Aquatic Center. And I remember in year 2004, there's one October 8th, and there was a ferry in Penghu, Taiwan, and it sank, hit the rock and it sank. 45 researchers were there. So this little captain, he was able to use helicopter to save them one by one and save all of them. You know, how he became a hero. He said, no, that's not a hero. Actually, the hero is that little LED, because LED are lifesaver. And during midnight, you can see a little twinkling star in the sea. You just go there, you find a bullet there. So that little light becomes making a difference. And then at that time, I always have a question in my mind. I said, when Professor Nakamura would get this Nobel Prize? But then the Nobel Prize is only given to the first, not to the best. If you're the best, but that's not good enough. You have to be the first. And also, you have to, it's given to a discovery, not necessarily invention. So you have to produce a substantial impact for the field, and richness of consequences by Professor Bang Norton. He's on the Nobel Committee. So I said, how can you define richness of consequences? He said, it'll be a consequence so massive that everybody can feel. I said, like, can feel it, can be felt. So I said, like what? I said, for instance, if one day you go to Costco, there must be Costco here. Those convenient big stores, you go there, but then you no longer can see the incandescent Thomas Edison light bulb. Instead, you see LED, then that's the time. That's the time the rich consequences spreading around every level. So one year I saw during Christmas time, I saw all the Costco company, their lighting shelf is replaced by LED. So the next year, he got his Nobel Prize. So that's the rich consequences you have. And by the way, Thomas Edison actually is an inventor for whatever reason, and he has never gotten the Nobel Prize. Now, in 2014, Professor Nakamura went to Stockholm, and I had enjoyed this picture I took watching him receive his prize. And so then we came back. We have since built a very strong solid-state lighting and energy electronics center. He is one of the co-directors because he leaves administration for other people to do. And this is a picture of UC Santa Barbara, and his laboratory is right here around these. And 154, what is it? Well, since that SSLEEC, that center, solid lighting center was established, we have a total of, so 154 patents since 2011, 490 papers since 2007, cited 14,000 times. and $195,000 per disclosure for a potential new patent. One of the most unique and successful collaboration model for the university industry. And this center was not funded by government agency nor by the university. It's purely by a collection of all industrial companies, including companies from here, from Macau and the center in Hong Kong. The impact of new technology, for instance, this LED new technology started from 0.1 luminance, then become a light bulb, 16, then become fluorescent, 70, and then LED 300 lumens per watt. And this, I took interest in, take a look at the consumption increase in Macau, and you can see the increase, electric increase. This is one of the university, this is one of the city that consume a lot of lighting electricity. So the LED can be used for arts, say historic rice field in Wajima in Japan. Now they have 21,000 LEDs to light it up with solar energy during the day. You don't have to power this, and at night it lights beautifully. And on the upper left, you can see there's a difficult tunnel on our campus. Students have to ride bicycle into the dark tunnel. There's some safety problem. Now we use LED light. It's for free because we have the solar energy to power this during the day, and we can light it during the night. And LED plant factories could use this to feed the world. The growth rate is 2.5 times. Latest will become 5 times higher, and water usage is only 1% of standard form. And you also maybe read the story, especially for the Chinese story, 匡衡夜读, 粗鼻借光, punch a hole in the wall so you can borrow light from the neighbor so you can read at night during the time when there was no energy, no light during the night. But so if we use LED light, we can power it by solar energy during the day, and we have 30% increase in graduation rate. This Untitled Light is a charity company, and it has already distributed 73,000 light distributed over to 65 countries, and a 30% increase in graduation rate. And then also we have a business model for the professors can have their own companies. So this one company, this company also have collaboration with this part of the world. And gallium nitride and gallium nitride, perfect crystal structure with 1,000 times fewer defects and 5 times more light per unit area. Then here is an interesting PowerPoint. It's published by the Department of Energy of the United States in January 2012. And it says in the year 2030, 46% reduction in energy needed for lighting in the U.S. and a cumulative saving about $250 billion from 2010 to 2030 is equivalent to 51,000 megawatt power plants in the U.S. alone, which is this kind of energy saving. So I think I can maybe just a few minutes say a few other stories, because I don't want to just concentrate on 2 professors of the whole university. So here we have a Calvin Institute of Theoretical Physics, and this Professor David Gross, I remember I went to Princeton to see him, and I invited him to come to Santa Barbara. He finally came, and after 7 years later, he received a Nobel Prize in theoretical physics, and he helped spend 15 years to strengthen this Calvin Institute, which was built by his predecessor, including Professor Walter Kohn. He also received a Nobel Prize. Then, after 2 years ago, we were lucky enough we received a philanthropic gift from philanthropist Charlie Rogers. He gave us $66 million, so we built a residence hall just for the Theoretical Physics Institute. So we call it Charlie Munger Physics Residence, and we can house all the physicists and visitors at the 5-star hotel they live with on campus. And also I remember when I saw a professor from Microsoft came to give a seminar. So I went to listen to his seminar, which is so fantastic. He was talking about quantum computing. So I said, why don't you come to our campus, do research on campus? So he came. Actually, he is working for Microsoft, but he has a Microsoft center called Microsoft Station Q. Q stands for quantum. So this has been on our campus for 20 years now. And we gave them space, and they actually paid for it. They recruited 5 or 6 professors from around the country. He carefully selected. They are all listed as our faculty members. So they are doing help Microsoft develop a quantum computer. And Professor Michael Friedman is a Fields medalist. He formed a global research consortium led by UC Santa Barbara. Of course, this is by Microsoft, including Delft University Technology, Niels Bohr Institute in Copenhagen, University of Sydney, Purdue University, University of Maryland, and the ETH. So, Then I guess I have a few other centers. I just go over quickly. We have a SAGE Center for the study of mind, catalyst for interdisciplinary studies of the relationship of brain science and brain and mind. The center integrates a wide range of scholarly endeavors and technologies in the humanities, social sciences, and the sciences, directed by Professor Michael Casani. And we also have an Institute for Collaborative Biotechnology. It's led by UC Santa Barbara in partnership with MIT and Caltech. It's a university industry army collaboration model focused on developing technology innovations in bio-inspired materials, sensors, and networks, and other biotechnological tools. And we also have a Center for Information Technology and society, in the interest of society, because the Center for Information Technology really has tremendous impact on humanities and life and social impact. So dedicated to interdisciplinary research and education that seeks to understand and help shape the complex development use and social effect of information technology. And we also have materials research laboratories and other research. There are on and on quite a few, but I'm just using a few examples. We also have a Carsey Wolf Center supporting research, teaching, and public programming about media, fostering informed dialogue, critical skills, historical understanding, and new forms of literacy for global and interconnected world. And we also have a professor, probably you have heard about his name, Bai Qianyong, and he came to China to organize. Actually, he interviewed the actor and actress, interviewed the players, and rewrite the play and restore the Kunchi, and went to the United States, Europe, and have tours to spread the arts, the theater arts of the Chinese culture. So that's my Santa Barbara stories. I'm just sharing this with you. I'm glad to answer a few questions. Thank you.